today we're speaking to Busi and Jeani from OFS Smart Repair, based in Bloemfontein in the Orange Free State, as part of the Collision Repairers Association of South Africa's Women's Month interview series. Welcome, Busi and Jeani. Jeani, sorry, man. And thank you for taking the time to chat with us today.
Thanks, Johan. Thanks for having us. Hi, Johan.
Good. Now tell us, when did you guys start the business?
Johan, OFS was started 37 years ago in 1984. So it's actually been going for almost 4 decades that this is in the works.
That's a long track record, huh?
Yeah, it is, definitely. It was started by my dad many moons ago, but second generation, we've been here for about, I think almost 16 years, and 18 years, long time. And I don't know, maybe we can do that one. We can start that question over again. I'm not talking sense with you, Johan.
Johan, is this a recorder or is this live?
It's recorded. It's recorded. But don't worry, guys. Listen, just talk. I mean, it's not. This is not a what do you call it? Let's just talk about it. It's not an issue at all. Do you want to start over again? Do you want me to ask you the same question again? Okay. So, when did you guys start the business?
Johan, the business was started in 1984. That's 37 years ago. So it's quite a long time. It was started by my dad. And second generation, we are now in business. We've been heading it up almost ourselves for 2 decades as well. But it's been a long time that we have been in this trade.
So you guys have been involved with this business for the last 20 odd years.
Yes. So it is myself and my big brother, Gijsie. He's the CEO. I'm creative director, and Busi has joined our team as well. You've been part of it for quite some time?
I think it's about 5 years now or so.
Okay.
Been OFS. So it's gone through a metamorphosis.
Yes.
Two different generations and. That sort of thing, just keeping up with the times as well, So that's the business.
Okay, and tell me, what kind of service and products do you guys offer?
Okay, so we are an auto body repairer. We actually have quite an extensive. Sorry. We'll keep it in. We have an extensive OEM approval panel.
Yes, we
meaning that we provide that service for a multitude of repairs, especially your premium brands, all the way to our trusted solid brands. So it ranges all the way from your Toyota to BMW. We've got your Range Rover, Land Rover, all the big brands. Basically, this is where we're housed. So we do your warranty repairs. We also do your aluminium repairs. And it's honestly, and I'm not saying this because I'm biased, but it is a state-of-the-art facility, the largest one in the Free State.
Northern Cape.
And I think the 3rd largest in the country. So we're quite proud, of this business, this establishment, and what has been built basically throughout the years.
Now, would you guys say your OEM accreditations definitely gives you the edge?
Absolutely. I think, look, when the business was started all those many moons ago, as I said, OEM approvals wasn't really part of the game at that stage, and it was a bit like the Wild West. Anything went, anything goes. And but the industry has changed quite a lot, and I think the OEMs wanted to have more say in what happens to their product, and of course protect the economy that they have with their brand. And I think at the beginning for the repair centers, it was quite it was a tricky change, but it was one for the better, because I also believe that if you drive, whatever you choose to drive, whether it's a Toyota or a Volkswagen, Land Rover, whatever it is, I also would like the repair center to know their stuff and to be specialists at what they do. So we were one of the first shops actually back then that championed and that kind of thought, okay, we like where this is heading. And we jumped on that early on when some of the other guys didn't want to do it, because the OEM approval is an expensive thing to have. And there's a lot of prerequisites. There's a lot of rules. I mean, Busi is in charge of our approval program at OFS. So she knows firsthand all this stuff, from tools to training to, everything that you need in your shop. I mean, for aluminium repair, you need to send someone to Germany for training. And that's it. So it's expensive, and a lot of people don't want to invest. But I think it's been absolutely worth it. It's given us an edge, and it's helped us establish the kind of brand in our industry that we wanted to, because, people have a lot of preconceived ideas and notions of what a panel beater is and what a panel shop is. Of course, it's changed immensely in the last 2 decades. And I think the approval has really helped with that, to change that perception of what people think of their repair shop.
And it's obviously an ongoing thing as well. You don't get an approval. You actually have to keep on and ensuring that you keep that, standard. Otherwise, you can lose your approval.
Absolutely.
That's exactly it. What it does, honestly, it keeps you up to date with what's happening in the automotive space. With regards to advancements that are happening, be it the vehicle itself. I mean, every year we've got a new model coming in. There's new material that's used on it. You find that there are new, processes, repair processes that you need to stay up to date with. So it's a benefit to shops, and as much as it's arduous to maintain, it's a benefit to a business because it keeps you relevant, it keeps you up to date, and it's also that it gives you that competitive advantage as well over your competitors who might not, want to tangle basically with OEMs and their very high requirements.
That's the truth.
I can imagine. Now tell me, why did you guys decide to actually get involved with the auto repair industry? I mean, it's quite a male-dominated industry. And, I'm pretty sure it must have been hard for you guys to make that call and that decision and penetrate the market.
Yeah, I think both of us should answer that for you, because I think we've both got a different story to tell in that regard. But for me, I grew up in a motorhead, petrolhead household. So cars it was part of what we know, what we love. I have a lot of background in that actually, and I think I decided to get involved in our trade because it was something not just that I grew up with, but I grew up with entrepreneurship. And my dad used to say, and I mean, take it with a pinch of salt, it's going to sound quite arrogant actually, but he used to say that there are people that work for themselves and there are people that work for other people. And we know that it's not that clear cut, and people who work for themselves very much need the people that work for other people. But for me, I grew up with that exposure of that you can have your own business and you can do your own thing. And for me, I wanted to be the master of my own destiny and the captain of my ship. And I don't mind working my fingers to the bone, putting in every single bit of effort that you can imagine, but I would like to do it for my own team, so to speak, if I can put it like that. And it was a natural fit because it wasn't that foreign for me, and I know cars and I understand cars. Okay. So that was my story. And yours, Busi, what did you join at? How did you get into panel beating?
It's an interesting story, but I'm going to piggyback off what Jeani said as well, because I'm also from a background where my dad has also been an entrepreneur. I wasn't born in the space like Jeani was, so my background is more in training. where I used to have or to oversee a training program, basically, which was NF apprentices. And that's when I got into the industry in terms of how do we make sure that, young people are given the skills, the tools to get into the industry and to grow in the industry as well. So that's when my relationship started with the industry. And then when I met Jeani and Faith, your older brother, and realized they're passionate as well in terms of just your people development. I mean, this is one of the largest repair centers, like we said, with about 100 plus people. So training is a huge part of it. We are in the industry, so you need to have qualified people who know what they're doing, especially with the sort of cause that we're working on. So it's a core, it's a crux of, what we do as a business. So that's how I got into it, and haven't looked back since, basically. It was an awesome opportunity to join them and to partner with them. It made sense as well. I mean, I'm passionate about people development, and this was the right platform to get into, and the right space with people who are motivated as well, who are passionate about the industry, and what it takes to make a business like this.
But Busi, were you ever worried? Sorry, Johan, I'm going to jump in with a question for Busi. Were you ever worried that it was so male? Like Johan said, it was so male dominated. Was it ever something that scared you?
To be honest, Johan, I think, when you go into a space, and this is my personal opinion, you go into it because there's something about it that talks to you. You consider it later that this is a male-dominated space. And I think a lot of time when you're asked as a woman, how did you end up? You end up in a space because you see potential, you see growth, you realize your capabilities as well. And it becomes, why not? And I think once you step into it and then you get that sort of pushback, then you want to fight that as well. It's almost like, says who? So you telling me that I can't do it based on what?
Yeah, but Johan, to be honest, what industry is not male dominated? Hey, so I mean,
no, you're right. You're absolutely right.
The
auto repair industry, is very much dominated by the by the male industry, by males, and it's traditional. I think I'm not saying at all that it shouldn't change. I personally believe that diversity is one of the key things of survival. And I've had, this is the third discussion I have with owners. And I mean, I'm just flabbergasted with the creativity that these guys bring to the party, and the thinking out of the box, which I think is fantastic. Because let's face it, we live in very challenging times, and that's now what I actually want to ask you guys now. So given the challenging times that we live in, and the period that we find ourselves in, how are you tackling those challenges?
Are you speaking about COVID specifically? Or
well, we talk about COVID, but also, in the past, 2-3 years, the economy has not been very, great. And that had a massive impact, obviously, on the industry. The aging of cars has gone to, the average age of vehicles in South Africa is 14 years. Which has a direct impact, obviously, on your industry, because, it becomes more expensive to repair vehicles. And then your write-off value, is easily reached because of older cars, et cetera, et cetera. So you do live in very challenging times, but also interesting times,
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'll say something and then, absolutely join.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Johan, I'm a firm believer that if you are the best at what you do, you will always have work. And in where we are situated, which is central South Africa, Free State, Northern Cape, the thing is that the business model is a bit different. It's very much community. It's very much word of mouth. So if you mess up, it's not, I think in Joburg and in Cape Town, with all due respect, you're a number. You can fix a car and it doesn't have, you don't have to see that customer ever again because you've got so many cars on the road. That's fine. With us, it's different. It's retainer business. So if you mess up, and if you do not do a quality job, it will linger in the marketplace. So for us, we are very, very serious about quality service and quality product. And I believe firmly that is why, because there's still a lot of people that have cars, there are still people that have insurance, there's still people that need their cars to be repaired. But what has happened in our segment is the guys that do it well, or the girls that do it well, they have just absolutely grown, and the smaller guys that take chances and don't do it right and don't deliver a quality product, they are, they're struggling more and more and more. So it's a case of the guys that do it well get bigger, and the guys that are left behind and they don't want to invest in their shops and don't want to innovate and they don't want to diversify and they don't want to get with the times, they get left behind. So for us, we've been very lucky in that regard, because we work very hard on our brand, on our reputation, on how we are received in the market, on the quality product we deliver. And that's why I feel that we're lucky and blessed to have a very healthy business in that sense. And that's also how I feel we will get through the very tough times if we do what we do very well. What do you say?
No, for sure, I agree with Jeani. And I think just to add another thing, which has contributed majorly to Oiface being what it is today. And Jeani does not want to own it right now on this platform, but basically a big part of it, and I think this is what needed a woman's touch as well, is just understanding that, there was a perception about the industry, and to a big extent there still is. You're talking about a panel beater here. People see it as a grimy, dirty place with, unethical people who don't have any scruples. And so changing that narrative and saying, but how do you make a panel beater an aspirational brand that people actually want to identify with and associate with? And that's what OFS has been able to do. And that it's not just a panel shop, but it's a place where you actually want to come and hang out. It's an environment where you feel safe. I mean, if you come into our reception area, it's clean, it's modern, it's better than most, even your architectural firms.
Yes, you should come and have a look.
And this is actually a panel shop. And I think I've had conversations with some of the guys. And initially, when these plans were put forward, there was pushback to say, but we're a panel beater. Why do we need to care about these things? So I think it had to take a woman to actually see that and say, but wait, guys, and as much as it's about, what's done in there, but we need to establish some sort of relationship with our client base. They actually need to like us. They need to identify with us. They need to see us as their equals. And I think Jeani, as well, by driving the marketing programs that she has been able to do that beautifully. And it does set us apart majorly from other peers.
So I think, to just end that off, I think what it's about is being very innovative, pushing boundaries, changing perception, making sure that, like I said, you do what you do really well, you walk the talk, but you push the marketplace to somewhere where it didn't even know it was or it could be.
Sure.
So I do think that in that regard, we've become a brand, and people locally and nationally, they know us, they know about us, but we're not just a pretty picture. Yeah. We deliver the product as well.
That's it.
But I think that has been big for us,
Well, listen, I mean, just looking at the back, your backdrop there, it's light. No, I have to commend you guys. I mean, it's light, and it's not the typical dark and dingy space that most people associate with, paint and panel beaters. It's light and it's vibrant and it's modern, and I think that brings that message that you just gave. It actually just cements that. Okay, now tell me, have you guys faced many barriers as business owners in your career due to being women, and how have you overcome those?
Thank you. You know what? We all know this is a male-dominated space, So immediately when you sit around the table with men, you are carted off. And you need to be more boisterous, you need to speak up more. So you need to stand up more for yourself, I'd say, because you are not automatically given a platform where you are trusted for what you know, or that what you're going to say is actually linked, to the business. So people assume, I think, that you don't really understand the business and you are just a pretty face. So because we are pretty, right? People just assume that you're a pretty face, and you were put there because for you, well, it's your dad and your brother, they're the ones who are heading it. For me, you're a black woman and you are here because of BE, etc. So there are all these assumptions that you're constantly having to push against. And it comes down to you basically knuckling down and, showing, walking the talk. I know what I'm talking about. Yes. I understand the business. And we can go one-on-one when it comes to that. But you're not automatically just given that she knows what she's talking about off the bat. It's something that we still have to fight for. And I think that's where the fight still is. The fact that when you're sitting at the table, the assumption off the bat is that, you don't deserve to be there.
Look, I think that facing barriers, a lot of it, I've had guys in my workshop saying they don't want to work with women, or they don't want to, I had a workshop manager, actually a guy that we were headhunting, that said straight off the bat, he'll work with my brother, but he doesn't want to work with me. Because the workshop, a girl doesn't, there's no place for you in the workshop. You've heard that as well, right?
Ooh, yeah,
But the interesting thing about that was, I said to Busi, we've spoken about it quite a lot. When I started out at OFS, and I worked, because a big part of what I do is actually operational client service part of it. And one of the things that we're very proud of is the way in which we communicate with our clients. We've pioneered a proactive system, and it's a big thing for us. And the biggest thing was you cannot communicate with your client if you don't know what's going on.
Sure.
So I've worked hand in hand with a lot of not a lot, it sounds horrible, but I've worked with a couple of workshop managers. And the thing is, what makes it different is because I'm in the client service part, but I have authority. When we meet in the workshop and you as the workshop team tell me that something is going to be done, and I tell the client that something is going to be done, then the next day, if it's not done, then you need to answer to me, because
Sure.
I have that authority. But at the beginning, the panel beaters loved it to just take as many chances and try. And what's it? It's like in Afrikaans we say trek jou siel uit. What's that in English? Hey, it's like they taking chances with you. They're mocking you.
To push
and
Pushing the boundaries.
Yes, I'm actually well, you can't really, but I'm a fashion girl. I like my heels and my whatever and my style, and I just decided I wasn't going to change that just because I'm in the workshop. But that was tough at the beginning until I showed them, listen guys, I know what I'm talking about. When I'm standing here with you, and if I'm giving an instruction, I can back it up. I've got the experience. It took a long time to learn. I mean, I can speak the lingo. I know what you're talking about when you're saying the inner side pedal did not arrive. You have to cut it out, cut and weld, whatever. I can speak all your lingo, and I think that was the thing, was that respect is earned. That is how it works. And for me, I feel that if you are in charge of a business or a workshop or whatever the case may be, you shouldn't be good because you're good for a woman. You should be good because you're good. You're a good manager, or you're a good planner. You do what you do well. And so to speak, the proof was in the pudding. So the thing was, they started trusting me the moment when they realized that I'm in it with them. I understand what they're talking about. With Busi, with the training as well, I mean, you've got an in-depth understanding of what it is to do their job every single day. And you're not just there, prancing around pretending that you know what you're talking about. And I think that's what it is. That's how you overcome the barriers, is make sure that you do it on merit, make sure that you know what the industry is about, and like Busi said, that you're not just a pretty face, but that you can back it up with the knowledge.
Sure.
Is what I think.
Now, listen, just from an interest point of view, I mean, any industry that you go into, it takes a while to actually get your hands dirty and really understand what it's all about. You know, I mean, you're not going to do this in a year. It takes a long time to actually get that, you know, subject matter expertise down to a T and really have that authority and being able to talk, you know, from an authoritative point of view. How long would you guys say it took you to actually get to that point where you are now that authority and you can speak with authority, you know, on an equal basis to anybody else, you know, in the market?
I think for me, I wasn't born in the industry like Jeani, but I can say that it takes years. It takes years, and you find it at some point when you're interacting with an outsider. For example, when we've got your, you know, approval audits happening at the workshop, and then you explain to the guy, you take him, you know, for a walk around the workshop, etc., etc. You explain the process to him, and they ask you, "How do you know this stuff? Are you a repairer? Or have you gotten?" You're like, no, you don't even notice it happening, but it's taken years to a point where you actually do understand certain things intimately because you had to deal with them. So it doesn't happen overnight, right? It's a process that happens, but there needs to be intention of wanting to understand, but why does that work that way? Why is that needed? So you can't be in this space and just hope that automatically, you know, you'll be able to absorb everything. It's a process, number one, but you need to be proactive as well.
And take the effort.
Exactly. You need to ask, you need to understand, but why? If you say this has to be done this way, why does it need to be done that way? It will not happen overnight. And as it is right now, I'm still learning. So there's certain things that there's certain things that are still coming to light that you understand. And we're in a business that's constantly evolving. So you can never get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm certain now I know and understand everything. So the post is always moving, and it's your job to make sure that you stay up to date. Whether it's new training processes, whether it's a new piece of equipment that's coming in, whether it's a new legislation that's come in. So you need to be, and I think what it boils down to at the end of the day is passion, right? Okay, liking what you are into, being inquisitive about what you're doing and the environment that you're in. And that's what I think keeps you relevant and in tune with what's actually happening around you.
For me, Yuan, I'd say, look, interesting. So people like... They always think, oh, you go and work for your dad. And that's not actually what it was like for us. When myself and Gijs, when we entered the OFS space, look, my dad hasn't been part of, I've been here for 16 years and my dad hasn't been part for OFS for about 16 years. So the thing was, when we entered in our early 20s, we were pushed into having to take a leadership role at a very young age. Now, obviously, when you are in your 20s and you're making decisions, they are not the best. And I would say that being a leader in my 20s and being a leader in my 30s, and I'm turning 40 at the end of the year, I think I'm now a much better leader than what I used to be back then. Sure. And like Busi said, you evolve. But for me, the lingo part of it, I had to learn very quickly because I had to make sure that I'm able to speak the lingo, yes, but so in the first couple of years, I really had to make sure I know what I'm talking about. But just the other day, someone, I can't remember, we spoke about a part or something in a car, and I was like, what are you talking about? What is that? And then I realized I'm still learning, and especially like Busi said, the mechanics change, the electronics change.
Technology changes. Daily.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but I think that it's a constant learning curve, and it's you will never know everything. And I think that for us, the authoritative part was also just a demeanor, and in a sense of speaking with authority is the buck stops with you, and you have to take responsibility. And I think that is shown, and that's not talk really, especially within your team.
Yeah.
And like I said at the beginning, not so good because you're young, but as you grow older and as you gain more wisdom, that's how I feel about age. Then you're able to better speak with authority.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think ownership is a big part of it, like Jeani's saying.
Yeah.
When you own the outcome of something, you become responsible for everything that it takes to achieve that outcome. So once you understand that, you don't even have to fight for that, but like, I'm responsible. Why are you standing in the way of this happening? It's a problem, because you understand the outcome and the impact thereof. So I think it's just when you go into a space in that leadership capacity, it's knowing that you're responsible for the outcome because you know how it's linked to everything else, So it's not just about you not showing up, but it's about you compromising everybody else, basically, at the end of the day. And so it's just that sense of accountability and ownership and understanding that, it's a big responsibility, but why? Why are we doing what we're doing at the end?
Yeah, but I also think that what's important in this regard is just to anyone that's starting out or anyone that wants to enter the industry or anyone that's still young, just to tell them, guys, remember, Rome was not built in a day.
Exactly.
And what you see around you, what OFS is right now, it wasn't that 16 years ago. And it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of grit. So it's okay if you don't speak with complete authority at the beginning, but you should just always be open to learn and, like you said, be inquisitive and realize that you never know everything and collaborate with the people that do know their stuff in the areas where you might be lacking, but it's going to take time. And be okay with that. That's totally fine. It takes time.
Now tell me, what's the most important piece of advice that you've been given?
The most important advice that I've been given is to trust myself and to show up, to show up every day. And to give it, to give it my best shot. So whatever it is that you do, go in there with every intention of winning, basically. So we're in this sort of space that requires you to think on your feet constantly, right? So you need to be solutions oriented. And for me, I find that as my driving force to say, okay, fine, it's a problem, but there has to be a solution. Every problem has a solution.
Sure.
So instead of getting bogged down by the problems, you need to be, so I get excited about coming up with a solution. There has to be a way to fix it. How do we come up with that? So basically, trust yourself, understand that you're going to be thrown with problems 24/7, but to every problem, there definitely is a solution. And for me, that's what's been able to contribute to keeping me going.
I'd say my best piece of advice is something that my mom always said. She said, what you put in is what you get out. And I think that ties in quite well with what you said, Busi. If you're going to spend 10 minutes on a repair, it's going to look like a 10-minute repair. And the reaction that you're going to get from the customer is probably like a 10-minute reaction. So you need to understand that the intensity you put in, the passion you put in, the time you put in, the effort you put in is what you're going to get out. And there is no free ride. There is no shortcuts. I'm always amazed by people that say stuff like, don't work in your business, work on your business, because I don't understand that model. It doesn't exist. I mean, if you look at a guy like Warren Buffett, he still goes into the office. Well, how old is he? Like 88. He still goes into the office every day. The Queen, she still goes into the office every day. But the point is, it's hard work. And if you're not, and not everybody's built for that, and that's fine. But if you really want to be successful, If you really want to do well, and if you want your business to be at the top, then that's the top effort is what you're going to have to put in. So for me, that was something that stuck, and it's something that I apply every day. Like you said, get up and shower, give it your best effort, because what you put in is what you're going to get out.
Yeah, and I think just to add on to what Jeani's saying, with a lot of, because we work with a lot of young people, and if there's one thing that I would have them understand is that it's not always going to be easy, and it's not meant to be easy. It's not going to happen just like that. With whatever process, I think we're in that age of millennials now, and they expect things right now, right here.
With minimum effort.
Instant gratification. And I think that to me is one of the biggest problems that we sit with in not just South Africa, but globally, is this instant gratification. You want it now, and then you want some more later, and nothing that's worthwhile happens overnight. You have to put in the effort and the time and the passion to make it and grow it.
Yeah. And that's definitely something I think every young person needs to understand. No matter where you are, whether it's this industry, this is just life in general. And life is hard, Life has challenges. Life is going to push you around. And if you don't know how to stand, and you don't know how to fight for what's yours or for what you want, then it is going to throw you out, basically. So it's that tough talk, it's tough love thing.
You need
grit. Exactly. If you're going to survive, you need grit.
Now tell me, how can we encourage more women to pursue entrepreneurship and senior leadership roles in their career?
What do you say? So do you want me to go first?
Big question.
I think you should allow. Okay, so there's a book by Sheryl Sandberg, who is the COO of Facebook, and it's called Leaned In. And what it's about is they say women should allow themselves a seat at the table. The thing is, so I'm at a stage in my life where I'm a mom, and I've got kiddos, and we've got sporting and school schedules and whatever, and it's crazy. And we lose a lot of women in senior management and entrepreneurship at around about this stage when they become moms, because it's just too flippin' hard to get to everything, and you need a team. And I think a lot of times women, it's almost like they don't want to dream that big, and they don't want to go for that post, and they don't want to try and run the business because they feel, but what am I going to do when I become a mom, and what am I going to do when I'm faced with all these other things that I have to do? And I feel, allow yourself that chance and figure it out when you get there. For myself, I've got a team of people that allow me to do what I do, but if you don't even try, how are you going to know? So I think women are exceptional species. There's things that we can do, and the level of multitasking that women can do, and we have got skills. I'm sorry to say that our male counterparts do not have when it comes to intuition, and I think we've got a different approach and a different perspective that I believe is, like you said, with diversity, it's very much needed in the marketplace. Yeah. And a lot of your customers are women, by the way, and a lot of the decision makers.
50% of them are women, so you have to take cognizance of that. Exactly.
So we need women in the space. So for me, I would say allow yourself a seat at the table and just take a chance and go for it, because you will be able to do it well.
No, for sure.
Don't think you're just going to be, well, as women, you can be whatever you want to be, and there's no judgment in that. But I think that we can be exceptional leaders, but you've got to put your hat in the ring. If it's not in the ring, then you won't even have a chance.
Your feet's not under the table, you don't stand any chance.
No, man, just to add, and I agree completely with what Jeani's saying, to add briefly on top of that, I would say that women need to understand that it's okay to be a woman and to be yourself in the space.
Yeah.
Because the bar has been for a very long time been set by men, right? In terms of this is how you lead, this is how you act, this is how you behave, etc., etc. And I think for a very long time, women have tried to fit that mold, of being a man when you're a woman, because that's when you think that people will take you seriously, or that's when you think that you'll be able to do your job better. And this is what I've had to learn as well, to say, but it's okay for me to be me and to have the qualities that I have as a woman. And like Jeani said, we bring in different aspects because we are women that are also very, very important. So yes, in as much as we are learning from our male counterparts in terms of, so because they've been in this game forever, and they are more confident, etc., when they step in a room, they automatically, so those are just some of the things that, women need to just learn a bit more to be confident in yourself. But it's okay to be a woman, I would say. It's okay to be a woman and to have the aspirations that you want to have, and you will find your own unique way in winning. So it might not look like that, but it will be your own brand, and that brand that you create as a woman will be enough to get you to where you need to get to.
Fantastic. Excellent, man. Now tell me, what's the most important message you want to send out to young women thinking about their careers?
Young women thinking about their careers.
Yeah, Busi, what do you say? I'll follow you.
We have a lot of young ladies, obviously, who are getting into the space as technicians, and oh my goodness, there's still a lot of room and a lot of pushback that they're getting, which breaks my heart, because a lot of spaces are still not, accepting.
Specifically in our industry.
Especially in our industry, and I think that's what makes it difficult. So again, it's even though it's unfair, because honestly, it shouldn't be happening in this time and age, but it's going to take grit, unfortunately, for a young woman right now in our industry, in that get in the industry, you are going to have to fight, unfortunately, a little bit harder than your male counterpart, right? Because everybody thinks this is not where you're supposed to be. There are systems in place like your the employment equity, etc., that sets the bar in terms of how many, females do you need to have, etc., and that's forced businesses more and more to actually take on women. So with those standards being set, it's allowed an entry point, but there's still fighting that needs to happen for women to actually prove that they are capable, prove that they're competent, and yeah, I hate to say it, but it's still going to need women to fight for their place, but it is possible. I mean, we have young ladies that are qualifying every day. They're finding good jobs. What we want to see more now is where women are getting into your management roles, and that's what we need to be aspiring for. Where, I'm yet to see it where a woman is a paint shop manager, for example, a workshop manager. So that's where we need to get into. It's a slow process, but I think to any woman who wants to get in this industry, listen, it's possible. The industry right now wants you, even though it makes life a little difficult once you're in here, because of your male counterparts that you'll be working with and under. But have that grit. If you know what you want, and you're passionate about it, you will get there. Certainly you'll get there.
I think my advice would be, young women, for the Gen Zs and the millennials of today, I want to say, do what you do on merit. That's a big thing for me. I think that be good because you're good. And understand that, don't you just hate it when people say, oh, she's a good woman doctor, or she's a good female lawyer. It shouldn't be like that. You should be a good lawyer, irrespective of if you're a woman or a man. So in our industry, what does that mean? It means that know who you're competing with for your space. Not competing like a war zone, not like that. But I mean, you need to understand you're going to be part of a team, which means that we're going to expect something of you and you need to step up. And so, in other words, if you want to be here, for instance, for myself, I just told you that I'm a mom, right? So, but I need to step up as well. So I need to have what I need in place so that I can be at work when I need to be here. And make sure that I've got my team that do what they need to do if I have to step away. So it is a bit more challenging for women in that regard, but I think just do it on merit and make sure that you are really good at what you do, that you add value to the team, so that they're not going to say, oh, yes, we need her because she's a girl. They should say, we need her because, you know what, she's one of the best spray painters that we've got. And actually, talking about spray painting, women can see more shades of color. It's a fact, than men. So at OFS, we have got 3 qualified female spray painters. And one of my, and I can easily say that one of my top spray painters is a lady, because she can mix the color better and she can see it better. So the thing is, there is value to be added, but of course it's tricky for her because you're working workshop hours. So if you want to enter the space, just understand that this is what we're talking about. This is the time frames that we're talking about. If you're someone that want to work half a day, then this is probably not the industry for you. So that's the thing. But do it on merit and make sure that you're really good. And then no one can point a finger and say that you're there just because you're a girl.
I love that message. I really think that to me is exceptionally powerful, and it also not just relates to females, but it also relates to the Gen Zs and the millennials. And I think a lot of those guys want a freebie, because I'm special, and there's no such thing in life. You have to pitch up on merit and stack up to the best. If you want to be the best, you have to stack up to the best. And that's how simple life is. If your reputation precedes yourself and everybody knows you know what you're doing, nobody's going to ask if you're a male or a female, or if the bottom line is they want you because you are the best.
Because you're the best.
I love that message, guys. I think that is so powerful. Okay, well, that is all for today. I just want to say once again, thank you very much for chatting with us, and best of luck for growing your business from strength to strength. I can see you guys are on a serious growth path, and you guys are going out there and make it happen.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Looking forward to it. Busi, what are we going to do? Take over the world?
Take over the universe.
Our advice is everybody get yourself good ladies in your team and look, you can take over the world.
No, for sure. I second that.
I like that advice. That's great advice to anybody.